So we decided, what else can we do? And you had a debate.
I did, and you came to my Future Housing Task Force event. That was in June 2017.
Yeah.
And at that, the debate was every Australian can own their own home if they want to, and you made me say the words "if they want to," and just with those extra words, I won the debate.
You did.
And then,
Thanks for that.
Then it went downhill there.
It did.
Yeah.
Because then they said, well, prove it.
Prove it.
So we go, all right, let's prove it. Give us some people. And they did.
Yeah, you said that we need to go out to the community, so we did that. They gave me one, which was Tracy, who you'll meet. And Andrew, you kind of found that because you asked the community to go out there.
Yep.
And
we found Andrew living in a car.
And then there was one other that joined us, but that...
She really didn't want a house.
No, she didn't want a house.
No. So it was all like the if you want to bit, but she really didn't want one. So
No.
So she pulled out.
She did.
So we've been playing with these guys now for almost a year.
Yeah, because we introduced them to the I Love convention last year.
Yes.
And said this is what we want to do, called Pay It Forward. And we were given then that time to just sit down between us and try and understand where they'd gone on their journey.
Yeah.
So that we could deal with that.
Then what we've decided to do, because we haven't achieved our goal yet, what we've decided to do is keep these guys on for another year. Because, you know, it takes time to get the head in the right spot and understand things and learn, and obviously they've been massively immersed in both our educations for all of that time.
It has been non-stop for them and us.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at the situation there, I mean, you've got to have a pretty interesting journey for these, as I still call them, kids, end up in the places they end up in. And then how do we get that most incredible real estate, that bit between their ears, back into full gear? And that's such a challenge when they're past 18 and past 22, you know, which changes anything. Did I miss something there?
No, well, your voice was too low.
Oh, hi there.
Thanks for drawing attention to it all.
No,
it's all
just
good.
let it slide. Yeah.
So, let's see where they're up to halfway through their journey.
They are.
Yeah. Let's first of all bring to the stage Andrew and Janet. Come on up here, guys. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You look pretty flash for living in a car.
Well, I think you've got to think success, dress success.
There you go. Good on you. So, do you want me to direct this? Would you like to go through the slides as to, you know, your journey?
I might just follow your lead and
follow my lead. All right.
See how we go.
So I put it out to the community because we had Tracy, who we'll meet in a moment, and I thought, no, I need somebody else. I'd heard this story about somebody living in a car, and I go, I want somebody living in a car. And one of my students,
I want someone living in a car. Find me that.
I did.
Found him.
So one of my students lives in your area and goes to the church where your car was parked.
Yeah, that's right. I was pretty lucky, to say the least.
Pretty lucky to be selected. Yeah, because they're pretty lucky to be living in that car. So let's perhaps go back a little bit and work out how you got there. Because, I mean, for a lot of people, there's a lot of fear around things and whatever. But you know, to understand how someone could get to that space.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. So I'm sad to say, there's a saying that you're only 2 paychecks away from living on the street. So I managed to debunk that and do it a lot quicker.
So your disclaimer is that you're pretty shy.
Yeah, that's Andrew living in the car 12 months ago. He'd be running away off that way. So I think we've come a long way in terms of confidence.
Absolutely you have. You absolutely have. So the timeline is 2014 to 2018 and then the future. So we'll start back in 2014?
Let's do that.
All right. So what happened back in 2014?
2014, we were living on the Central Coast of New South Wales.
Yeah.
We'd been there for quite a long time, both separately, and then we met a couple 4 years in together.
Yep, about that.
So we had a
Give or take.
Yep.
we had a property. We decided that we wanted to get out of the rat race and have a simpler life. And
what were you doing for a living back then?
I was a trainer and assessor, teacher for simpler terms.
Yep.
Adult teacher, RTO, TAFE space, that sort of. Yeah.
Okay, so good job.
Business ID,
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
All right, so you decided to move to country Victoria for a simpler life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Different lifestyle.
A different lifestyle. So you moved to Albury Wodonga.
Yeah, a little place called Barranduda. Has anyone in the audience heard of Barranduda? Wow, okay. No one's ever said yes to that question.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Andrew.
Oh, another one over here. Oh, look at
Wow.
all.
And
Whoa.
then-
Goodness, great. Look.
We are in Victoria. after
Everybody
all,
knows.
So, yeah.
All right. So what were you doing there?
We weren't doing much, as it turns out. So
So you couldn't get a job.
No, I couldn't get a job. It
So
turns
why
out.
did you pick there?
We went down there 2 or 3 times. We thought we had it all figured out, and
Did you
We
know
did-
somebody there, or why pick?
It was more of a ready, fire, aim type thing,
Barranduda.
you know.
yeah, ready, fire, aim.
It was more ready, fire, aim.
So you threw a dart at a map.
Yeah, we figured we would sink or swim. We would swim, and we were all kind of drowning there.
Okay. So you liked the area. You went there. Did you buy a house? What did you do?
Yeah, we did. So we did a portability swap rather than the normal thing to do, renting. The reason for that is we'd finished up our work. We were unemployed at that point. We weren't able to leverage something with the banks.
So you kept the loan and ported it to another
Transferred
house.
Correct.
From one house to
Yeah.
another.
Yep.
And
Okay.
we thought that would be easier than waiting to get work and getting back into the market. And yeah.
Okay. So you lived near a weir.
The Weir, part of Lake Hume, I called it the Weird. Sorry, no offence to anyone who's grown up with the Weir. It's just, how would you explain that?
Well, the first time I walked in there, I'm thinking, I'm not walking in this. It's got little spiders. It's got beer bottles on the ground. And
We grew up with the beaches. So
Yeah, so we're not
all
used to
the
that
sand,
kind of
the
muddy-
ocean breeze, and you know, if we'd grown up there, would have been an entirely different story. But it was
So
just
you
foreign to
researched
us.
it well before you moved there, is what you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
we didn't do any research.
You said this is where the beaches are, and so you just... It's great.
So what's this weekly commute? Did you have to go back to Newcastle for a job?
After I stopped counting after 400, and I started saving these meticulously. So I started saving all my job applications, and it got over 400. And I think I had 2 or 3 interviews from 400, and that started getting a bit tiresome. So that was over a period of months. We thought, why don't we just throw a few back home and see what happens? So I applied for 3, Newcastle and Sydney. Got offered 2 of them straight away. So we thought,
So you're now commuting,
I'm now commuting, so
Right. putting a bit of stress on things.
yeah. We were fast heading away from the reason we came down there, to get away from,
Yeah.
so
So you sold down there?
we sold down there, made a marginal little profit, I think, so
Tiny bit? Mhm.
tiny bit.
Yep.
We had jobs immediately, both of us. We rented this time,
Mm-hmm.
doing the smart thing to do, plus we could no longer get into the market. I should have said earlier that when we sold for the 400 at Central Coast, 18 months later that was 600, the exact same property. So we lost 200 there with
And
timing.
Barranduda did nothing.
Barranduda did nothing, basically. We got it a little bit under market, so
Okay.
that was where the profit was.
All right, so you're back there, you've got jobs.
Yep.
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 You're renting a house there, you haven't been able to get back into the market at this stage. What happened?
I discovered a little thing called the ASX. So this is why I ran out pretty quickly yesterday. So we were going tirelessly every weekend. All the spare time we had, we were going tirelessly, looking at going to all the opens, and it was just brutal. We were going to opens, and people were doing deals tying it up straight away with, do we even go in the house, because they're already negotiating, and if you spoke to them, to get into that ballpark, you were going 50,000 over, and
Yeah, it's gone crazy.
yeah. So
So you decided to become a day trader.
yeah.
How'd that go?
Not well.
It went well. The first 24 hours went fantastic.
It was. Oh.
Yeah, you can see. The first 24 hours, didn't really know what I was doing. I'll say that I've never been a gambler before or since, but in that 3-month period, I was a gambler. I use the word bet because if you don't really know what you're doing, it's betting on red or black.
Yep.
So that's what I was doing.
And that's where, it's education. There are safer strategies in
Yeah.
the market, but that's not one of them.
I just like the property space a lot more now.
Oh, good. I'm pleased. Okay. So, obviously, lost whatever money you did have, plus probably some you didn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a fun.
There's no we in that. You did that all on your own.
That was all on my own.
Exactly.
So the loans that I got afterwards that's why the loans were mine afterwards. And I'd stopped telling Janet where the financials were.
So you were hiding it.
Halfway. Yeah.
You were hiding it.
I actually had this feeling, don't go there the first time. And then, and then I realised, we lost more money. And then it was actually way more money, and I didn't know that. So it was, it's hard.
So you went into depression.
Big time, yeah. So I found this photo online, and I'll just say it out. I don't know if you can see it on the big screen, but I connected with it straight away. So I say that I was functional. I was still going to work. I was still, I was doing all the things that I needed to do, networking at work. Anytime I was asked, how are you going? It was fine, I'm okay. Underneath the surface, it was more like confused, betrayed, useless, broken, never good enough, fragile, anxious. I'm falling apart. You don't even notice it. Pathetic, annoying, rejected, lonely, defeated. So I was.
Yeah, you were fun in those days.
Yeah, I was a real hoot.
Obviously, the financial strain put a lot of strain on your marriage as well.
Yeah, it did. And it wasn't. The financial part didn't help, but it was the lying and all the other toxic environment that comes with that. Yeah.
So what happened?
I just wanted to talk about this one because this has surfaced a few times with the finalist stories. My belief system was that the man is the breadwinner, the provider, the protector, the hero, the leader, does everything. Yeah. And when you realise you can't do that anymore,
You lose your self-identity.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the start of a 2-and-a-bit-year lesson, I think.
So his net worth became his self-worth. He started to connect his wallet to his head.
Yeah.
And
So what happened?
We if we can flick through, I can't remember the next.
slide.
Yeah, so that's what
it.
happened. I developed coping mechanisms, and clearly I make some good choices.
And he was drinking every day.
I am creative, so
You brewed your own.
I brewed my own. Yeah, bourbon, vodka, liqueurs, you name it, I could do it.
Okay.
I started drinking pretty heavily, so it was a daily thing, and it was not just a drink or two here. It was.
It was an addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. What then happened?
Well, I got pretty good at lying and hiding things, so I kept doing that about the drinking, although...
I kind of stopped him and realised what's happening in our marriage.
Yeah, so
The habit.
I cleaned that up to a large extent. I started getting loans from here, there, everywhere. We won't go into all the details, but I got loans from all over the place, and with a mortgage broker and a lot of luck, and before APRA,
Yes.
we got back into the market. Wouldn't have happened a year or two later, but we got back into the market, and this is just shy of Newcastle, so Lake Macquarie, just a few minutes from Newcastle. That's where I should have felt a sense of achievement and accomplishment, but I was still broken and
Yeah.
hollow.
You're still hurting.
Yeah.
So your marriage broke down?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It was just very toxic, what's happened at home, and for the kids at home are just like, we have to do something about this, and Andrew decided to move out.
Well, there was one of me, there was three of them, so the idea was keep them safe, roof over their head. The idea would be that I would pay the mortgage, I'd pay the rent for myself as well, or as much as I could do anyway, still the whole provider, protector, even till then that was still what I thought you
So
did.
by this stage you're still working,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're living in your car.
Well, sorry, the last slide I think said that I got the call. So I'd been renting for a couple of weeks, and then I got a call from my, at the time's only employer. I do contract training, and they pulled all the contracts. This was in August. They pulled all the contracts that I was accounting on to get me through to Christmas. I always remember it was $4.55 on a Friday. It's sort of, how going, Andrew? We're just letting you know that all those contracts being pulled. We look forward to working with you in the new year. Click. And that was, yeah.
So that must have sent you into a bit of a spin.
Yeah. Because I had just paid the mortgage and the rent that day. So it takes two paychecks to end up on the streets. That's what that was about. I think I had about $10.60 to my name, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how you ended up in the car.
That's Winnie the car, and
That was your
Not
mother's
even
car.
a big car.
Yeah.
no, I'm a tall guy, so I picked the smallest car to live in.
Reside in.
Yeah. Winnie
Was that your mother's car?
that was my mother's car.
Yeah.
My mother and my mother passed away. I was very close to her.
Yeah.
We were extremely, extremely close. That's all I've got of Mum, so sentimental reasons.
And that was during this time, was it? That
No,
your mum passed away, or when did she pass away?
My mother got diagnosed 10 years prior. So Janet never
Okay.
met my mother. She got diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And I, at the time, I stopped what I was doing. I was actually working in the mines in a different area back then. I became her full-time carer for 3.5 years. And
So that's the inside of your car?
that's the inside of my car. So after I got that call, I sort of thought, well, this car, if I pull out a few seats, I might be able to sort of squish in there. So I pulled out all the seats bar the driver's seat. I don't think that's entirely legal. After what I heard you say with the one day.
Okay.
But put some stuff in there. There's me in my not so best moments. I actually made a few blogs and did a few things. I thought maybe one day I might be in a position to share my story. So here I am. There's just a few more photos. So I had a little portable butane gas barbecue, and I'd just go around, and my criteria at the time was couldn't get into the property market, but there was plenty of $1 million views here and there. So
Trouble was they kept moving him on because of the councils. They just keep moving you on, and you discovered consecrated ground.
yeah, so never more than one night in the same place at a time. You tend to sort of get pushed along. So then I found a local church where they provided a service for people homeless living in their car. That's a short-term thing, and not sort of.
So you had basically facilities like toilet and shower?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So times are pretty tough. You're
Yeah,
in
they'd
the
been better.
depth of depression at this point in time. You've got a saying here, failure is not falling down, but refusing to get up.
I liked that because a couple of months into this, I I saw a lot of people around me, and this will sound weird what I'm about to say, but you get to a point, and for me it was around about the 5 or 6 month mark in your car where you actually start to get comfortable in your car. As crazy that sounds, and I've seen, they all happened to be older than me, but there was older people around me, mostly men, who'd been in that situation for 5, 10 years, and I was thinking, that's not where I want my future go. I can't be a father from a car. I can't be a husband from a car. So I started thinking that the failure isn't where I was, but if I'm here in 5 years' time, that would be the failure. So I started, I could go on with the story, but we had about 10 or 15 nights of clear sky, and every night I just look up at the stars, and because I was feeling totally disconnected and alone from everything. And I just had this light bulb moment that I'm just part of the whole, I call it the universe.
Just a tiny little speck.
Yeah, just connected to a much larger thing, and suddenly I'm not alone. So that was my little epiphany, I suppose, that this is where it starts to turn around.
So there's some of the cars on the church grounds.
Yeah, this is looking out of my car, Winnie. There's a couple down there, and I sort of used to keep to myself as much as possible. I'd socialise where needed, but I'd stay away from it and just get into my own little space.
So what happened then? How did you find out about ILRE Real Estate?
People laugh at me every time I use this word, but I keep using it. I was discovered by one of your platinums,
That's right.
Rhonda Edser.
Yes.
And that was her church. And she'd unawares to myself at the time, she'd heard the calling that you were looking for someone in their car. And she went to her church and...
And they picked you out of all of those cars?
Yeah, she went to the property, the manager there who manages this side of things. Excuse me. And said, look, I know you've got a couple of people in their car. Is there anyone who might be interested in this amazing property opportunity? Anyone with their head screwed on, they're just here through circumstance. And he said, without thinking, there's only one person that comes to mind. His name's Andrew Bennell. Would you like to meet him? So he came up on his own first, and I've never seen him look so spaced out and out of it, confused. And he said to me, he came up and said, he's looking strange. So I said, what's wrong? And he said, I've just had this strange conversation. Before I get into all this, it all sounds like BS to me personally. But I promised Rhonda, one of our regulars here, that I would pass the story on. And he filled me in on it and said, would you be interested? I think at first I said, this is something I really wanted to do a few years ago. I don't see myself in that position now. But short answer is, yeah,
you're willing.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the call was made, and we connected into the system. Is it at that point that you went to the one-dayer? Because that was the first time where, I'd accepted you and everything else, but that was the first time that I actually saw you at the first one-dayer.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was really expected there either. I kind of snuck into that one.
It's all right. You're welcome.
I came up and said hello to you. Yeah, so that was the first one, and
that must have been a bit of a mind change for you, because from where you were to me going through all the stuff that I normally do at a one-dayer, and you can do this and anyone can do it, and regardless of your circumstances, all of those things, I think that probably hit home with you, going, well, I can. There is a way. There's always a way.
Yeah, just being there was evidence of something a whole lot greater that I was yet to realise.
Yeah. And you started having some marriage counselling?
Yeah, so at this stage,
We had a few marriage counselling first.
I like this one. What do you mean we don't communicate? I sent you a text message last week.
Yep.
We were familiar with that at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started going to marriage counselling. I should say by the stage of the first boot camp, the first one-day boot camp, I think you only really discovered what this whole thing I was in.
Yeah, he rang me. It was just like talk, and I was like, I'm confused. I don't know what's happened.
Who is this person?
I was scared. I was like, oh my god.
I was like,
you have to go to the 3-day boot camp, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I follow.
And we would mention a little bit of this in little detail because outsiders don't always get it.
Understand? That's great.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we mentioned a little bit, but yeah, we were going through marriage counselling and
Wasn't working.
We've
Well,
seen one or two.
yeah.
Then one marriage counsellor really stood out from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
You might
Yep. Good old Kevin.
might recognise him.
I should have looked at the slides.
And it's standing up here with two divorcees.
Yep. Yeah, go figure.
So Kevin got
happily
two
married
for the
now.
price of one.
Yeah.
I was their marriage counsellor at the time. Yes.
Yeah. Kevin said that we need to work on my mindset. A lot of the first conversations we had about how I spoke about my lovely wife Janet needed a bit of work.
I was lost for words. When we said you needed better work, it was a lot of work. It takes me an hour to get home every night, and I would ring Andrew from the moment I'd leave work for an hour solid. And I'd have to say sometimes, look, you've got to stop being a box of rocks here. You know, we've got to get
bit of
something.
box of rocks.
You know, we've got to get something between the ears here, other than this whiny story about your depression and all of that. If you keep this up, you're just going to be good at it. And so, you know, how about we just shake that shit out? And we would be on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And then your wife would ring me for an hour here and an hour there. What did you say? You know, blah, blah, blah. Because all of this stuff happening.
Yeah. It turns out that that no BS approach really works for us.
Yes.
So
We were-
between us, it only took about a month and you were out of the car and back home.
Yeah, about that. Yep.
4 weeks.
4 weeks. So what's this about the taco truck?
He was down and out at that time.
Kevin rings me up, one of the second or third conversations we'd ever had on the phone, and said, if you could do anything in the world and money didn't matter, what would you do? So I think it took me about 3 seconds, and I said, I'd be a taco truck driver.
So I said to him, okay, well, be careful what you wish for. We'll make that happen. So I went down and saw our friends at Innovation Garage who create things from nothing and created the ultimate taco van and said to him, your taco van is ready.
And there was a 2-week delay for me to digest that and say, oh shit. Took 2 weeks for me to say, Kevin, I don't really want to be a taco truck driver.
So then I said to him, where did you get this idea from? And he said, I saw a movie called The Chef. So I went and watched The Chef. And in this movie, the whole reason he wanted the taco truck was because he'd lost his wife and he's lost his daughter.
Yeah. So that, and I didn't realise at the time another one of Kevin's helps, but that was the underlying thing. It wasn't the taco truck it was just getting that bond again with my daughter that I felt that I'd lost for.
So you got back to being a husband and a father.
Yeah, that's me when on a flying fox with my daughter Madison, and that's where I'm.
That's where you're at.
Yeah.
Now, by this stage, we're back into work.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're back teaching.
I am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But of course, with all the real estate knowledge, you've got a deal.
I do. This one's really exciting. So it's not usually where most people start. It's deal number one. So this is where I'm starting.
So basically, you found this site with another friend of ours, Damon.
With the help of Damon McDonald.
Beautiful man.
Another local.
And you found this site, which is 200,000 plus GST. And the idea was that we'd find 4 of our students to buy these at wholesale. So we said, let's create the whole thing just for cost and find 4 people in the community that would like a unit each and 2 shops at the front. Then we'd sell the shops down, which would create their deposit, which means they got in for nothing and ended up with a house well under $300,000, probably $80,000 under the market. And so we said, let's test this and you can learn to be the project manager because you are a teacher and you're a good teacher and you're good on systems and structures and you've done that. But you had that real bump in the road when you did Our Compelling Life and I had to slap you then as well.
Yeah.
They've
Was
just
that
done this whole study about smacking children. Have you heard it?
Yeah. I know. It's good for them.
It's good for them, right?
So basically, you're a rescuer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he spends his bloody life helping everyone else but not himself. And it's just weird.
I didn't realise either. I thought it was the complete opposite. I thought I was selfish and greedy. So
Yeah, put the oxygen mask on everyone else before yourself. That's the first thing you don't do.
yeah. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So what happened?
I learnt to start to look after number one and work on up here first. That was. I got frustrated a few times earlier on in the journey, and I would ring, and I even we made videos and sent them to Kevin about how frustrated we were. Like, why aren't we doing?
That always goes down well.
Yeah, he loved those.
I loved them.
I'm surprised they're not going to play now.
Oh, I was going to put them in my blooper files.
yeah, send him a few. But yeah, no, Kevin just said that it's up here, and until we get that right, there's not going to be anything else. So, and that didn't feel like it at the time, but that was the best approach I needed.
Bit of tough love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened then?
Then.
Don't look at me. It's your journey. Let's see. You're back with your wife. Your daughter's totally in love with you. You've got a beautiful family.
You got a job.
I've got one.
You got a job.
My daughter, we thought we'd test the waters and take her out to an open. That's something I used to do with my late mother when I was young here and there. We thought, well, we weren't really expecting much to come from it, but we'd give it a go. And she took to that like a duck to water. Mm-hmm. And then she started asking every Saturday, let's go see more opens. We've shown her, in the first couple of weeks, we showed her regular opens, auctions, display villages, knockdown rebuilds, land lots, and she got pretty good at it. We went to one day, we'd had a look at her.
How old is she?
She's 5 now.
5,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
And we went to one, and we'd gone to a few, and I said, well, why don't we, when we talk about going to a playground, we call it play, so why don't we stop now and we'll go play? And she said, no, Dad, I want to see one more house. So we went to one house, and we have got a couple of agents we start to tag along with a bit now. And they
Very
said
good.
it's a bit
So what's the story with this deal? Like, where is it at?
It's in a little place called Terralba in Lake Macquarie.
Now, how's the deal going?
We had meetings with the lawyers. We've now got 4 investors, 4 students wishing to buy 1 share each. Mm-hmm. Pacific Law are now structuring the deed of arrangement, mm-hmm. and we're about to go for an option on the site in the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And we've been in discussion with the agent through the vendor. And I came down to Lake Macquarie to spend time with Paul and introduce you to him. He owns 4 of the LJ Hooker offices there, 5 actually, and sought their advice on pricing and all the other things. Mm-hmm. So basically, Andrew's agreed to be the project manager of the deal, and he's going to continue in the next 12 months to become one of our exceptional project managers because he's a good finder, he knows how to process a deal, mm-hmm. and it's given him the confidence to play Monopoly without risking.
So he will get something out of this deal?
Yes, as the project manager he will.
What will he get?
I believe he'll get a net of $50,000 for that deal for himself on that mm-hmm. one. So we are assisting
So what are you
him.
going to do with your $50K? Don't you say buy a car?
No.
I've got a car. No, I'm with Wisdom, the financial strategists and everything, so I will get good advice and follow good advice.
Pay down, redraw, go on your own.
Yeah, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, get the equity up, and yeah.
So
and this is now your new family.
It is. So it's funny because we're kind of shy and a lot of this stuff hasn't come out to anyone outside of us and our counsellor.
Yeah.
And so we thought, what better place to tell all our friends here. And these are just some of the adventures we've been on, some of the great people we've met and places we've been in the last 7 or 8 months.
So you see this as your career now?
Absolutely, yeah. I sort of saw it as my career a few weeks in when the whole taco truck thing. I want to get into property, not taco trucks.
Does anyone want a taco truck? Just asking.
There actually is a truck. I don't want it anymore, Kevin.
Too funny. So we've got a little video here, I believe.
Yeah, you were talking about throwing the stone and the ripple effect.
Yep.
Well, and I mentioned a little bit about how our daughter likes to, has taken an interest to property, and she asked if we could record a message
Okay.
a few days ago, and that's strange because she doesn't usually like the camera pointed at her, but she asked for it, and I didn't know what she was doing, and she made a little message for you, Dimpner.
Oh, did she?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll have a little listen.
Hi, Dietna. I hope I will see you soon.
Very sweet.
Very good. Is she here?
No, she's not, but you'll be meeting her soon.
Oh, very good, very good. And your final message?
Just a huge thanks, obviously, to yourself and Kevin. You know, we certainly wouldn't be...
We wouldn't be here if we didn't. We were
We
in
wouldn't.
our situation back then.
I don't know if we'd... yeah, who knows where we'd be. Doesn't matter. We're here. Thanks to John Gian, obviously, providing this amazing knowledge source network, the means for all this to happen. And thanks to the 900 odd people here that are supporting us.
Yeah.
Well on you then. Good on you.
And I'd like to say a special thank you to this beautiful lady here.
Absolutely,
'cause
Janet.
She's put up with everything. this one.
Yeah. Very good.
She's a keeper.
Thank you, guys. Credit to you both. All good, Del. See you, sweetie. Good on you. Thank you. Pretty incredible, and you can see the direction that the guys are going in, and what will happen into next year. For Andrew, it's not so much about the house. He's actually got the house, and now it's a matter of pay down the debt, get ahead, and be able to move forward on his own and see himself in a different light. Which
Exceptional project
I think we're
manager.
already there.
Yeah, he is. It's unbelievable the change that's occurred with Andrew in that time.
So it's
Quite
watch
remarkable.
this space for next year.
Oh, big plans. Big
Very
plans.
good.
Yeah.